All right. We will start with Vika Height, the presidential candidate. You will introduce yourself and provide a brief overview of your campaign. You have 2 minutes.
Well, everyone, my name is Vika Height, and I'm your current class president. I'm running for re-election on April 1st. And serving as your president this past year has been an honor and a privilege, and I would love nothing more than to continue supporting you in the upcoming year. When I first campaigned, I campaigned on the acronym ACT, which is Accessibility, Change, and Transparency. And with the few minutes that I have with you all, I want to share how we accomplished that. So, beginning with accessibility. When I was first elected, I spent a lot of time researching the Wellness Center and engaging in conversations with both wellness ambassadors and counselors on their own about different organizations and ways that we can better supplement them. So currently, I'm organizing a campaign with other senators to seize the awkward, to encourage dialogues about having conversations about mental wellness and how you can support your peers in finding support for mental health. In addition to that, I have worked with organizations of neurodiverse and other disability students to see how as student reps we can best represent you. And then I've also organized social events like Strangers No S'more and Midnight Scream, though that was canceled based on governor's orders, in addition to other things. And then the other portion of that acronym is change. So I was one of 3 overall team student leads for the Students' Rights Initiative, which is under the blanket statement of the plan to combat structural racism at William & Mary. And the Students' Rights Initiative, or SRI, works to educate students about their rights when interacting with police. And I'll be taking over this project in the coming years, which is also an honor. I'm also serving on a contextualization team where I'm researching Lion G. Tyler and these findings we presented to the BOV. That is in response to the referendum, and I've been working on that since December. And in addition to that, I have worked on campaigns to support our dining hall workers, our NTE professors, pass, fail, and sponsored bills like the one that funded the Diversity and Inclusion Symposium. And then lastly, with transparency, beyond the class emails, I have attended BOV meetings where I've heard student athletes speak and then included the survey in those emails. So I'd really appreciate it if you could all look at my campaign through my Instagram. And of course, you have my email, so you can reach out to me at any point in time. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Vika. We will now move on to introductions for the senatorial candidates. Senatorial candidates, you may introduce yourselves, quickly provide an overview of your campaign, and you will each have 1 minute. For the first round of speaking, the order of candidates will begin with Evan Abney, then we will move on to Gloriana, then Taylor, then Miguel, then Saylor, then Isabella, then Mia. And as mentioned earlier, we will rotate this speaking order moving forward. So this will be the only time we pre-read the order of speakers. So please remember the name of the person you speak after to be prepared each time. All right, we will begin with Evan. You have 1 minute.
Hello, everyone. My name is Evan Abney. So over the time that I've been here at William & Mary so far, I have really just fallen in love with the incredible community we have here. And that's why I'm seeking the opportunity to represent and serve you guys in the Student Assembly. So the key elements that I want to address are, to begin, mental health. Many of us here, myself included, struggle with mental health issues. And so I want to expand both awareness and resources to deal with these issues here on campus. It's a very widespread problem that we have, and I would love to work with our existing Student Assembly members and the initiatives that they're developing to continue to combat these problems. Furthermore, I want to work on taking on the issue that the Board of Visitors of William & Mary has some issues when it comes to listening to Student Assembly. To give an example, the referendum was mentioned, and essentially the Board of Visitors is refusing to work with the Student Assembly on making this campus more inclusive towards minority groups and marginalized communities. I want to work on that, and so that is why I'm running for Senate.
Thank you, Evan. We will now move on to Gloriana.
Hi guys, my name is Gloriana Cubero Fernandez and I'm running for re-election. SA means absolutely everything to me, and I've worked really hard this year to represent your interests, from advocating to pass fail to co-sponsoring the Insurrection Condemnation Resolution and supporting the Renaming Referendum Act, to organizing and volunteering at COVID-safe social events like Strangers No S'more, to sponsoring the American Indian Student Association Brafferton Week Act. This year, I hope to continue advocating for the change we, the students, want to see, changing systems that uphold systemic inequality, changing an academic environment that glorifies a culture of toxic productivity and stress, changing a curriculum that lacks the diversity and flexibility students need, changing the stigma behind mental health services and women's health, changing language that hurts and oppresses, changing this school so that we can truly be proud when we wear its name. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloriana. We will now move on to Taylor.
So, hello guys, my name is Taylor Fox and I'm running for the Senate position. So, my platform is all about diversity, being inclusive, and overall, I just want to see real effective change here at William and Mary. Speaking on diversity, I feel that as a diverse class, it should be represented in student assembly. And then moving on to being inclusive, it's saddening to hear that a lot of marginalized groups here at William and Mary face microaggressions and being misunderstood for who they are because they're human beings just like us. And I feel like that should be fixed. And also effective change. As you guys heard, the Board of Visitors does not like to listen to students. And I feel the type of person I am, it doesn't matter, no matter how many emails I have to send, how many papers I have to write and sign, I will be working hard to make sure that you get everything you deserve as the class of 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. We will now move on to Miguel.
Hey guys, my name is Miguel Jones. I'm running for a Senate position. Obviously, COVID has really hit us hard and it's been very difficult, and some students have felt isolated and left out. And one of my main goals is to make SA very accessible to students, but I want this in a way to where students actually like know, because some students don't even know who's representing them. And I see that as a big problem. So it's difficult in the ways that we're doing it. Zoom, emails, it's kind of difficult to get the familiarity with the people who are representing you. And I believe that we have to find better ways to connect with the people we're representing, because if we don't, then there's no way we can solve their problems. Also, as Taylor said, diversity is very important. That's a very big part of my campaign. I live this. It's a personal problem for me, and I just love the work that the Reparations Committee and the SRI is doing, and I want to continue that. Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. We will now move on to Sailor.
Hello, guys. I'm Sailor Mel. First of all, I want to thank the Elections Commission first for making this happen. I really appreciate you guys. Like many of you have known, I'm an international student from China and I'll major in government. More importantly, I'm running for class of 2024 Student Assembly Senator. It is the 1 year mark that we have become a part of the tribe family. I cannot stress enough how proud and privileged I am to have represented you as your senator this year. I'm running to promote diversity in our school because it brings love and new ideas. As a person of color, I thank every one of you because you guys have taken care of me as if I'm part of your family. So my mission is to represent you and voice your concerns and needs to the administration. Also, I work on mental health issues and renaming efforts. Lastly, I will engage with the administration and let them know that our voices are the voices of the school. Every person here matters to me because you are part of our tribe family. Thank you.
Thank you, Sailor. We will now move on to Isabella.
Hey everyone, my name is Isabella Strauss and I served as a class senator this year and really enjoyed learning more about how SA can create real change on campus and in this community. In terms of work I did in SA this year, I focused my efforts on really making sure William Mary was a safe place during COVID, while also helping provide fun events and opportunities for students on campus. If reelected, I'm looking forward to prioritizing student life, addressing accessibility issues on campus, and really emphasizing current SA efforts relating to mental health as we continue to recover from this pandemic. These are only a few initiatives I have in mind. I also know there's still a lot of work that needs to be done to make sure everyone feels as though they belong on this campus. So this would be another overarching goal of mine. Yeah, so that's just a little bit about me. I also just did want to add that I'm really excited to see some new faces here and more people wanting to get involved in SA.
All right, thank you, Isabella. Lastly, we have Mia.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you so much for making the space for us to have this conversation. But my name is Mia Tillman. I use she, her pronouns, and I've been so excited to serve these last few months as the class of 2024 senator. A couple months ago, I came to you guys with the 4 main pillars of sustainability, community, visibility, and diversity. And I've worked really, really hard to deliver on each of those platforms. And I hope we'll have more time to kind of dive in deeper into what we've done over the last few months. But moving forward, I really, really want to focus on the 4 platforms that I've raised this time, which is health and wellness, financial reform, diversity and inclusion, as well as student life, with a special emphasis personally on health and wellness, as well as financial reform, and specifically looking at those 2 from an equity and racial equity perspective. I'm really, really passionate about financial reform, and I think there's a lot that we can do within SA, changing it from within the system. And so I'm so excited to work with Meghana, who is running for student body president, to kind of make that change using the financial system as a way to reach racial equity within campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Mia. Thank you to each of you for your introductions. And we are now going to move on to the questions that were submitted by the community members. And remember, after I read each question, there is going to be a 30-second reflection period for all of you to think about your answers. Each of you will then have up to 1 minute to answer the question, but remember, you do not have to use all of that time. All right, question 1. How will you prioritize elevating student concerns to the William & Mary administration, and how will you work with them to ensure that those concerns get resolved? You have 30 seconds to think. All right, we will begin with Gloriana. You have 1 minute.
So as a current senator this year, I've had to work with the William and Mary administration a lot. And I know that it's really important to just reach out a lot of times, like be very firm, but also be very respectful. And the administration tends to see that we really care about these issues and take that and really respond to us. And I will work really, really hard to make it clear to them that this is what the students want, and that they can't continue to ignore student voices. I'll make sure that I am, really representing student voices and consulting with different communities in order to represent their voices correctly to the administration. And I'll just be really firm in communicating with administration members.
Thank you. We will move on to Taylor.
So I can say from previous experience in high school, I am completely used to having administration feel like students don't matter. So as senator, I stand behind the statement that there is no email that I will not send. There's no administrator that I will not talk to. I am not intimidated by high officials because as a senator, I feel like I have a job to represent you well, and that means to get answers for you and to have solutions for you because you deserve the best on William and Mary's campus. And thus far, that is not to say that that hasn't happened, but there needs to be better and more effective change. So emails will be sent. I'll continue to email until they hate me and they're like, leave me alone. But I will be getting answers for you, and I will definitely make sure I communicate that to you.
Thank you, Taylor. We will move on to Miguel.
So guys, on the basically the platform of trying to get admin to listen to us, it's already been said, you have to be firm, but you also have to be respectful. But the main thing is you have to know what your students want and then target that. But all of us have to target it together. It can't just be one person doing it. So what I want to do is I want to make SA, our senators, join us together so we can all focus our efforts at the issues that students care about. And if enough of us come together, make a few compromises, come together make an efficient plan and put it forth towards admin, there's a good chance that our problems will get solved. But if they don't get solved, they'll get addressed, and then we can continue to push and fight. And I'll go against admin as much as I need to get what the students want, because as a senator, you're the person who puts me in my position. So I have to do what I have to do to get what you want. So
Thank you, Miguel. We will move on to Saylor.
As many of you have said, we need to be respectful, firm, and understandable. Everybody, including the admin, we're all humans, so we understand we have many problems. So first of all, I will send emails together as a team, and that's really important because we have to establish a bridge between us and the administration. Also, since this year, I've been working on different issues with the administration, and I understand that although we have to be patient, we have to be firm. We have to let them know that that's what the students want. That's what's important. So I think the most important thing is for us to mobilize the students, mobilize the clubs, the unions. That's how you do it. For instance, the Die Zeitung, the German newspaper, has organized an event for the school to listen and stop firing the professors. We should work for those clubs and eventually make change happen. That's how you do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Saylor. We will move on to Isabella.
Yeah, so just going off of those responses, I think one thing that would help a lot in answering this question is that I think what would first help is that student body knows when we are reaching out to administration and what exactly we are pushing for, because I think what we kind of find is that there is miscommunication sometimes and we're doing work that maybe the student body just isn't aware of. So I think that's one thing. And then just, I think this has been said, but finding a balance between respect while also being an advocate and pushing for information, being persistent. And then one way I think we can create real change is by providing administration with information, whether that be through surveys, collecting information from the student body. In personal experience and working in SA this year, I find it's hard to argue with numbers. It's hard to argue with statistics and information, direct concerns that are coming straight from the student body. So yeah.
Thank you, Isabella. We will move on to Mia.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think this is a really good question. I think really what's important, what I've learned over the last few months is that it's so important to come at this with a smart and targeted strategy when discussing issues with the admin. They've made it clear that certain things just don't work. Even when they should, like raising concerns of saying, hey, this is what the student body cares about. This is what the student body wants. That frankly doesn't work. And so I think it's really important that like as senators, we work together as a group and target this. In the last few months, the class of 24 senators, we reached out to a couple administration members, and what worked last time was asking direct questions and demanding answers to very specific questions. And so I really want to work on pursuing that specific method, as well as working with the rest of the student body to kind of organize and ensure that the administration and the Board of Visitors is aware of what our priorities are and getting those results through kind of a very structured, methodical way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mia. We will move on to Evan.
Thank you. So for the past year, I've been serving as the president of the Monroe and Old Dominion Hall Community Councils. And one of the biggest things that I've tried to do in that role is to be available to anyone who has problems, concerns, questions, anything they need addressed. And I go to whoever needs to be aware or needs to be asked about that to make sure that I can get that done for them. I want to extend that approach to student assembly too. I want to be an advocate for everyone here. So I've actually released my phone number and my email address. They're both in my ballot statement on the SA website. And I would love for anyone to please reach out to me through either of those. I would love to talk with you, meet up if that's something you want to do. And I will take your concerns to the student assembly, work with fellow senators on that. If it's something that can be handled individually, then I will personally fight on your behalf. And I just want to, I see that as one of the most important parts of serving this community and everyone in it.
Thank you, Evan. The next question is, what specific initiatives do you all have in mind related to diversity and inclusion? You all have 30 seconds to think. Okay, we will begin with Taylor.
So I would just like to start off by saying, as a person of color on this campus, especially as a Black woman, it's difficult sometimes to deal with the microaggressions, to deal with the passive aggressiveness. People say things that they think aren't like bad, but they really are. So my first and foremost thing is informing. Educating and informing is literally the first step to solve a lot of these problems and dealing with microaggressions. First Year Initiatives has already put that into place where there's a whole lot of websites and things teaching you about these things, but I feel like people just see it as an assignment, like let me just type this out and get it done. But to actually have an open conversation where there's no judgment, I feel like that is important. So as a Black woman on this campus, that's what I'm striving for. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. We will move on to Miguel.
Yeah, so diversity, a very big problem on this campus. I've dealt with some of the things that Taylor's talking about, so I completely understand where she's coming from. My goal is I want to provide as much support to BIPOC and minority clubs, student clubs and organizations, because that's where most of our students from these backgrounds find their best friends, find their home where they belong on campus. That's how they find their groups, and we need to basically promote these initiatives that these groups are running so we can increase the diversity, because these groups do very good work and they have a lot of very interesting ideas. And I think that it's very important to support these groups because they're usually not supported as much because obviously they are a minority group. So that's my main concern, because I've joined a lot of culture clubs and organizations, and they've talked about how securing funding might be an issue. So I really want to focus on that. And that's really my goal for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. We will move on to Sailor.
Thank you. First of all, I'll continue to support diverse minority groups on campus, especially providing some assistance or training how to get the fundings from the student assembly. That's really important because that's how you can have all those great events that people do. And also, I'm going to continue supporting the Black Lives Matter the protests. And also, I'm going to push the administration to continue the effort to rename and all those buildings. And lastly, my biggest projects to create a welcome video that includes every single person, all different kinds of people, different groups for college, for promotional purposes, so that we can let all the potential applicants know that everyone here matters. And also hate is not permitted on our campus because we're the alma mater of the nation. So that's how I'm gonna run as a senator and promote diversity on our campus. Thank you, I yield my time.
Thank you, Sailor. We will move on to Isabella.
Yeah, thank you. So my number one priority is making sure all voices feel heard on this campus. And I think bills like the Black Lives Matter Megaphone Funding Act that Mia actually funded, I think these are great. And to continue to kind of push for these things will help a lot. And I want to provide organizations representing minority groups with the resources they need to do the work they do and leave an impact on this campus. Um, Finally, I do believe that having more open forums so we can hear students' concerns about diversity and inclusion related issues is really important, and it can help us a lot move in the right direction. Education is crucial, and I don't really think that real change could be made without hearing directly from these important organizations.
Thank you, Isabella. We will move on to Mia.
Yeah, thank you. As a woman of color myself, I'm really, really passionate about this issue specifically. And again, I really believe that we can attack this specific issue and raise this issue from within SA and reform our SA systems. So with that, I'm working on an initiative within SA called the Student Rights Initiative that Vika mentioned earlier that she leads. I'm the East Asian content lead as an Asian American. I'm really passionate about educating our students on what we can do. as students, as well as I really think it's important that we push the angle of accessibility within SA. So I really believe strongly in us like captioning all of our videos. I think that's a really like simple thing we can do within SA to be more accessible. And again, as I mentioned, I think we can really look at this finance reform that Megan and I will be pushing within the next year from a diversity and inclusion perspective. And so in conversations I've had with her, this really looks like, for example, reforming the way that we do our guidelines for our budget so that they work better for multicultural organizations so they can better receive funding, so we can really put our money where our mouth is.
Thank you, Mia. We will move on to Evan.
So as we're talking right now, I'm actually sitting in Tyler Hall. It's a little unclear if this hall is named for Lion Gardner Tyler or John Tyler, both of whom are William and Mary alumni. Both of them were secessionists and supporters of slavery, and yet this building is still named for both of them. There was a renaming referendum, as has been mentioned by many people, by SA, blocked by the Board of Visitors. Ultimately, if we want to enact any kind of structural change here to make this campus more welcoming to everyone, regardless of race, ethnicity, skin color, whether sexual orientation, gender identity, the Board of Visitors is going to have to cooperate with Student Assembly. I'm prepared to coordinate protests, to coordinate referenda, anything we need to do to put pressure on the Board of Visitors to work with Student Assembly on these issues in order to ensure that everyone can feel welcome, included, accepted here at William and Mary. Thank you.
Thank you, Evan. We will move on to Gloriana.
So as a Latina, this issue is really near and dear to my heart as well. This year, I joined the Academic Diversity Project, and I'm working on a memo outlining a mentorship program for diverse faculty. So I would like to continue working on that initiative to increase the retention of faculty of color, young faculty, and women. And like Mia, one of the things I am personally really passionate about is accessibility. So I would like to continue fighting for more accessible academic buildings. You know, a lot of them have heavy doors and things like that that make it difficult to enter those buildings. Also making convocation a more accessible ceremony so that everybody can participate in student life. I want to promote the inclusion of accessibility resources in syllabi, really educating our professors on how to adopt a universal design for learning and make their curriculum more flexible. But ultimately, what is most important to me is to correctly represent the communities I am advocating for. So whenever I write a bill or pursue a policy, I want to make sure that I am reaching out and connecting with the community that my policies will affect, because their voices are the most important whenever I'm pursuing a diversity and inclusion policy, which are often not about me.
Thank you, Gloriana. We will move on to our third question. According to Monash University of Australia, intercultural competence is defined as ability to function effectively across cultures, to think and act appropriately, and to communicate and work with people from different cultural backgrounds, at home or abroad. Can you expand on what intercultural competence means to you personally and how that will be applied to your work if elected? You have 30 seconds to think. All right, we will begin with Miguel.
So intercultural competence, is that what we're calling it now? I mean, I think we would just being able to work with other people from different cultures, I don't think that's good enough. We have to go further than that. We have to promote further. We want people to like want to work. We want people to just love working with anyone, every different. Basically, we want to be diverse, but we want to encourage people to basically control that diversity and make it into something that's better for everyone on this campus. It's very hard for a lot of minority groups, microaggressions, racism, and many things have been done on this campus to combat that, but it's still something that's over their shoulder, still something that adds to the stress of the daily life of a student. And it's something we got to do about that. And when I become senator in SA, that's something I'm really gonna go hard for and tackle.
Thank you, Miguel. We will move on to Sailor.
Perhaps this question is my favorite because I'm part of the intercultural competence in America. I am not American. I am from China. I'm an international student. Before going to Will and Mary, I was in Alabama, where majority people were Caucasians, and I was the only Asian person in our grade. I contributed my culture to the entire class. That's how diversity is. And I believe people from different nationalities, different sexual orientations make America what it is, make our school William and Mary. If elected, I will not only support my own Asian communities, but also other communities and support their efforts to make our school a better place. And also, I will begin a platform to promote diversity classes, such as class taught by Professor Lisa Meyer, LGBTQ studies, and Professor Jay Watkins, so that we can build our community better and make William and Mary a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Sailor. We will move on to Isabella.
Yeah, so just to start off pretty specifically, one thing we can do is just continue to reach out to groups affected by bills and resolutions that we're writing in order to make sure that we're effectively helping each and every member of the community. Another thing I can do is just continue to have an open mind and make it clear that I don't know everything. Everyone has their unique experiences and backgrounds, and just keep that in mind. You know, education is a big part of this effort. Learning about our classmates and how they really contribute to our campus is essential to make real change in my mind.
Thank you, Isabella. We will now move on to Mia.
Yeah, thank you. I think this is such an important question. I come from a household of two parents from different countries, and so this has definitely been a huge part of my life. But within essay, I think this really looks like allyship and understanding our position within the conversations about, diversity and inclusion, as well as understanding the impact of the work we do, like Isabella was mentioning, and specifically how we can use our position of power to assist the communities that want to continue the work that they're doing, not necessarily stepping over and speaking for them, but instead doing work to help and assist them and uplift those voices. And so one thing I've noticed this year, again, to talk about the whole finance system, is that our finance system really doesn't work for multicultural organizations. For example, the guidelines really don't really allow for like funding for food and things like that. And so that really makes multicultural organizations it gives them a really tough time trying to organize events. And so I think by changing sort of structural issues that impact multicultural students more, we can then work to be better allies and uplift those voices.
Thank you, Mia. We will move on to Evan.
So ultimately, I think the key to this issue is communication and open-mindedness, as well as a willing to be introspective. I recognize that as a white man, there are a lot of issues that are going to affect women and minority groups that I may not personally understand or have experience with. But I want to promote a situation where anyone will be comfortable reaching out and talking about those issues that they face, about how to address them. And I want to be available, and I want anyone to be comfortable knowing that I will listen and I want to learn about and help amplify your voice and raise the issues that affect you, because really none of us can know everyone's experiences. And so thus I think that for all of us, we have to maintain open communication and ensure that we are all willing to listen to each other and promote everyone's interests as a community.
Thank you, Evan. We will move on to Gloriana.
So to me, intercultural competence means the ability to work with and listen to all different kinds of students and groups. And as a senator trying to represent the entirety of the student body, this is extremely important. Importantly, though, intercultural competence also means respect. It means condemning blatant hate speech and subtle microaggressions. And as senator, as I said, I want to make sure that I am not only correctly representing the communities I am advocating for, but also highlighting their voices and making sure that I'm representing them even when they don't come to me first, right? Like making sure that I am reaching out to them first, and being proactive about that. I think there are also a number of policies we can pursue. I think there are educational campaigns we can pursue. And so I would love to do all those things as senator next year.
Thank you, Gloriana. We will move on to Taylor.
So I just want to start off by saying I'm a big person that educating yourself is a lifelong task. It is no way for me to possibly be like, I know the exact experience of being Asian American in this country, in the climate that we're in. I cannot say that, but I can be empathetic and understand, oh my gosh, look at what's happening. Look at what's going on. And my job as a senator is to echo your voice. Whatever you say, I will be the megaphone right behind you. Like, this is going on. This is what we need to focus on. This is what we need to highlight what's going on in our community at William and Mary. And I feel like that is extremely important. I am not in here for my own personal or selfish reasons. It is purely for the class of 2024. Your voices matter to me, and I'm just here to echo what you want to happen on campus and what you have to say about your experience because you matter here. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. We will move on to question 4. What is a unique perspective, experience, or platform issue that sets your campaign apart? You have 30 seconds. Okay, we will begin with Sailor.
All right, thank you. During the campaign, I have met a few challenges that I have to address. So first of all, we're still under the COVID situation. So I wish I could have gone to door and talked to people about my campaign, about my values, but I couldn't. So that's one of the most serious questions. But also, my base is consisted of many remote and international students. So probably they're not even in the States. So it is difficult for me to talk to them in person. But I enjoy talking, I enjoy texting. So sometimes I FaceTime with them and listen to what they need for the next year. Those are the problems I see. But I think the Instagram campaign has been really successful, including me and everybody, all the people. I really applaud all of your efforts to help everybody and I really appreciate you guys as the Elections Commission to help us out. And I just really want to say thank you and good luck, everybody.
Thank you, Sailor. We'll move on to Isabella.
Yeah, thank you. So one thing I want to talk about that's a big part of my platform is student health. And one aspect of this is mental health, which I think is something that's probably included in a lot of these platforms. But one thing that I think is often overlooked in these kind of preliminary platforms when campaigning is this idea of women's health, which I would like to do a better job of advocating for women's health this year if given the opportunity. I think one way we can specifically do that is to continue, strengthen, and expand on the Period Project, make it a more permanent program so we don't have to keep refunding or watching over it closely. I think it's a big part of Meghana's kind of platform as well, who is, like Vika mentioned, is running for student assembly president. But that's something that I would like to continue to see more done in the field of women's health.
Thank you, Isabella. We will move on to Mia.
Yeah, thank you. So at risk of just sounding like a broken record, I don't think I can stress enough the importance of financial policy, in my opinion, and really reforming the SA system. And specifically, I think, again, using financial policies to address issues of equity. This is kind of why I'm going to hopefully be a government and econ major, because I really do believe in the power of financial policy. I think over the last few years, it's been made really clear that senators have put a lot of effort to ensure that we're approaching our budgeting process from the perspective of properly assisting multicultural organizations. But there's only so much you can do when the system itself really limits your ability to prioritize MCOs, the multicultural organizations. And so again, I just really, really hope to spend my next couple months helping to implement Megana's financial system that I really truly believe will really help our marginalized students in the organizations that they're a part of, to help properly allocate our money within campus, to address the issues of our marginalized students.
Thank you, Mia. We will move on to Evan.
So ultimately, the biggest thing about my campaign is just that I want to be available and accessible to anyone here. I want all of you to be comfortable reaching out to me. That's why I'm running for this office in the first place. I love this community. I love the people here, and I want to advocate on your behalf. I want to be a resource for you. This is why I've given out publicly my personal contact information, because I want you guys to reach out to me, and I want to establish those personal relationships. I want to fight for you, advocate the things that you need, work on the issues that are affecting you. And essentially, I just want to be always accessible, available, that anyone at the school knows that they can contact me and I will be there to help them and fight for them.
Thank you, Evan. We will move on to Gloriana.
So, a lot of us are focusing on mental health in our platforms, but what my campaign focuses on specifically is academic mental health. I really want to reshape the current academic curriculum to serve students better and lower our stress levels and anxiety surrounding classes. So that means continuing to advocate for pass fail. I think even in a normal year, academic flexibility is extremely important and students benefit a lot from having those options available. You know, being able to take a class because you enjoy taking the class and getting a lot of fulfillment out of that without having it add to your stress. I also want to advocate for more flexible syllabi, so that includes flexible deadlines and more individualized project options, you know, options between a podcast or an essay. I would also love to continue having mental health days, even in a year where we have a normal schedule, preferably after midterms. I just think they're extremely important as days that allow us to breathe a little. So just really focusing on the academic aspect of mental health on top of advertising for the counseling center and other things like that.
Thank you, Gloriana. We will move on to Miguel. Oh, actually, my apologies. We'll move on to Taylor.
I think a big advantage to my platform is I'm all about honesty and kindness. A really big part of myself is kindness and compassion. And I just want the student body to understand that I'm just like them, going through things, stressed out. I feel the burnout. I understand. And that's why when I post on Instagram, I always say, take care of yourself. I love you guys. And I just want people to know that I'm there for you. So even if it's not about my campaign and you just want to talk to me, I'm always there. I want everyone to know that I'm accessible to them. If you want to email me at 11 o'clock, I'm up. I shouldn't be, but I'm up. You can talk to me and I'll be there for you. And I just want everyone to know that I'll be your own personal cheerleader. So I'm all about kindness, honesty, and transparency on my platform. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Taylor. We will now move on to Miguel.
All right then. A unique perspective that I have as a Black man, as a Latino Puerto Rican on this campus, and being in the culture clubs that I am, BSO, AMC, I really feel their struggle. I have a unique perspective from being in these groups and seeing all the initiatives that are getting halted, or we can't secure a day to be in person, obviously because of COVID, but any all the struggles that they face. And I want to be a voice for these, not just the Black community, for all of them, all of the minority groups, BIPOC, all of them, all of these student organizations, because they don't have as large of a voice as they should. And many of their problems get slighted by SA, mostly admin, but sometimes SA, you guys have a lot of stuff to do, but there's not enough emphasis on them. And I really want to just be in touch with all of them, because it's very important, because these organizations are how our students have fun, how they find their friends, and they need to be supported in the right way.
Thank you, Miguel, and thank you to all of you for answering those questions. We are now going to move on to closing statements from each of the senatorial candidates. Each candidate will have 30 seconds. We are going to start with Isabella.
Yeah, thank you. So I really only have a couple final thoughts. First, thank you to those who came or are watching via the recording. Thank you for showing you care about the William & Mary community and who represents you, your hopes, your thoughts, your goals for next year. Finally, my last thing is please make sure to vote on April 1st and make your voices heard. If you vote for me, all I can say is that you have my commitment to be the best advocate I can be for the class of 2024. So thank you.
Thank you, Isabella. We'll move on to Mia.
Yeah, thank you. So just reflecting over the last few months, the Student Assembly and being a senator has really been such a huge part of my experience on campus, and all the things that I've learned and all the people I've met and all the initiatives we've been able to push for has really been instrumental in shaping my William & Mary experience. And I've really emphasized within myself to take the time to learn the ins and outs of Student Assembly and understanding how our system works so that we can work in our most targeted way to kind of reform and better the system. And so I'd be really grateful for the opportunity to take what I've learned and move forward and improve the system that we have now.
Thank you, Mia. We will move on to Evan.
So just kind of in conclusion, I just want to say I am prepared to stand up for you guys and advocate for the things you need. I'm prepared to stand up to the Board of Visitors as they try to stonewall the Student Assembly and refuse to listen. And I want to just make this an accepting, welcoming community for everyone and promote the structural changes we need. Please reach out to me if there's anything I can do for you, or if you just want to talk. Thank you all for coming to attend this town hall and kind of engage in the community. And please, whether you guys support or choose to support me or not in this election, come on out and vote on April 1st. Thank you all.
Thank you, Evan. We will move on to Gloriana.
So what I care about the absolute most is being your representative and listening to your voices. And that is something that I really want to highlight in my closing statement. So this year, in efforts to be even more involved with all of you, I'm actually running an interactive campaign. So what that means is that I'm asking for your input, and I'm going to use what you want to shape my goals for next year, because representing you and doing what you need is always my top priority. And I want to show that to you literally through my campaigning. So vote on April 1st, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Gloriana. We will move on to Taylor.
Well, first, I would just like to say I'm so excited to be running, but I also want to say just please exercise your right to vote on April 1st. I don't care if it's not for me. I just want you to choose who you think will do the job best in SA. But I just want to let you guys know that I'm ready for it all. It doesn't matter what mountains I have to climb, what valleys I have to go through, but I'm ready and prepared to represent you well as the class of 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. We'll move on to Miguel.
It's not about just being available. It's about being active in your community, active in other communities. And I'm prepared to be very active when I become a senator. I need all of your votes and your vote is what gets me here. So your voice is what I will be basically parroting out to anyone and everyone who needs to hear it. So don't worry about your voice being heard. I got you. Make sure you guys go out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. We will move on to Sailor.
I think, frankly, we need to be more transparent, especially on my behalf. Many of you perhaps don't know what exactly we do in SA every single day. My amazing fellow senators and the president are doing amazing things, but we do need to communicate with you guys more. And to me, the right thing is to care for others and defend your rights. If re-elected, I'll continue sponsoring bills to protect minorities and combat racism in our community. Lastly, I want to plead you to continue wearing those masks and do not go to parties. We can do this together. We can overcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Sailor, and thank you to everyone for being here tonight. To learn more about each of these candidates, check out their ballot statements, platform videos, and campaign websites / social media accounts on the candidates page of the Student Assembly Elections website. We'll be hosting another student body town hall on Monday, March 29th for the candidates running for student body president and vice president. Details for that event are available on TribeLink. Please continue to submit any questions you would like those candidates to answer through the online forum available on the Student Happenings newsletter. We look forward to seeing you all there, and thank you all again.